Welcome to Aspire to Retire. I'm your host, Cheryl Nelson, alongside Ralph and Tim Short and Scott Earhart, all from Welcome Home Financial Partners. Good to be here with you guys.
Good seeing you, Chair.
Always love seeing you guys, and whether you're just starting or well on your way to retirement, today we will discuss the mystery of financial security, a retirement vision, and a life well lived during your golden years. And that's what a lot of us talk about, the golden years. How can they really be incredible and amazing and everything that we're hoping for? So guys, let's dive into this. Can you briefly explain the importance of retirement planning and smart investment strategies for our viewers?
Absolutely. Well, retirement planning is imperative because what are we doing? We're trying to ensure that we can all retire and live a lifestyle that we want. Now, smart investment strategies, that's all going to be dependent on the individual. What is smart for them? What is the amount of risk that they're comfortable with? What's the amount of guarantees that they need in there? And how do we balance that to ensure that they can achieve their retirement goal?
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's different. So what are some of the common misconceptions about retirement planning that people should be aware of? That's a good one.
I think a lot of people need to be aware of that it does take a little bit of work, but it's easy to do once you get into the frame of it. It's not something that you need a Wall Street person to sit down with you there, because they talk about investing. We talk about financial planning with you and what your goals and aspirations are. Because everybody's golden years, they may start like Tim's is 50. When he wants to be 50, he wants to be retired. Some of us might be later than that. So it all depends on what the individual is doing towards those retirement goals. And I think the biggest issue for people is this: you have to start, you have to take control, you need to do something. You just can't sit there like a knot on a log and wait until you're 67 years old, collect Social Security, and that's it.
Right.
Would you agree?
I agree.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people think we can do. It's just, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, and all of a sudden you're 67 and going, oh boy, I don't have a plan. So definitely good to start early and know what you're doing. That's why these guys are so amazing. So let's dive into diversification. That one's hard to say. Say that 3 times fast. How is that important in your portfolio for retirement, and how can viewers achieve that? Is that talking about putting money in different pots?
Well, it depends, right? Diversification means different things, but a lot of people think that, hey, I've got 60 different stocks in my portfolio, that means I'm diversified. No, it doesn't, right? Diversification is going to mean different vehicles to use, but it's all going to be based off your individual needs, right? So we need to take a look at, hey, we can have some money in the market, hey, we can have some money in the bank, hey, we can have some money in different vehicles. That's going to be diversification. A well-built plan for your retirement uses diversification with different vehicles, not just different equities or different monies in the market.
Right, and when you say vehicles, that means different baskets, different pots, all the same. Yeah.
But I would also say a lot of people, they might have stocks, 60 stocks like Tim talked about, but it might be in the same type of investment. Maybe it's all in the AI or all into computers, things like that. That's not diversification. You might have 60 stocks, but it's all about the same industry.
Yeah, and what we see a lot too is that people might have those 60 stocks, but they could be in every different account that they have too. So it's not just condensed into one account, but if they've got their 401k and they're invested in XYZ mutual fund, they could have XYZ mutual fund in their outside IRA or brokerage account or what have you. So why are you going to put all of your money into one particular investment regardless of what type of account it's in?
It's funny that you say that, because I have a friend who says, oh gosh, company X is doing amazing, XYZ, whatever you want to call the company. Put all your money in that company, you're going to be fine.
Well, what I would say to that is the risk factor that you have just quadrupled, because all of a sudden, if it's doing great now, but what if the market turns? What if that industry does not work anymore?
Right.
And all of a sudden you lost everything and that's a possibility.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest misconceptions that people know about is that the market's always going to come back. And it always has, and it should to some point, but it's all about what stage of life you're in, right? If we're in retirement, why are we taking all of that chance on that roller coaster, right? Do we need to have all of that risk? More than likely, you probably don't, but you never have stepped outside of your comfort zone. You've never stepped out of your box to take a look at other avenues to invest your money. right? So we don't need to have all of our money wrapped up in the stock market. A lot of people, especially around the Richmond area now, is they're like, hey, I've been at this company for 30 or 40 years. They've made me the money. And it's like, no, they haven't. You've made the money. They're just holding the money for you. Yes, there's investments in there that maybe have done well for you, but why just leave all of your money in one place, especially when you leave? There's other things to take a look at. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, until you talk to you guys, right? Professionals who tell you what you don't know. So what strategies can viewers use then to invest more tax efficiently and potentially increase their retirement savings?
Well, I think we kind of hit on it in the previous question when we talked about diversification. Not only should you be diversified in your type of investment, but in the actual housing of that investment should be diverse as well. So there are things out there like Roth IRAs. We've talked about life insurance in the past that we could use, using traditional IRAs, all sorts of different types of money out there that can help you retire in the most efficient manner possible from a taxable standpoint.
And each of those accounts are taxed differently, so that's what people really do need to understand, because if you have pre-tax money, you're going to be taxed when you pull it out.
Yeah.
In a Roth, you're not going to be able to deduct it today, but you're going to be able to take it out without tax consequences.
Yeah, now
Right.
with Roth though, isn't there something you have to pay attention to as far as how much money you make or how much you put into it? Aren't there limitations with
Yeah,
Roth?
there's limitations. There's different rules to every type of vehicle that you get into, and that's why we always say is that your retirement plan is not a DIY project. If you want to go solely into the Roth IRA, you might have some penalties if you make over a certain amount of money, or if you tap into it too quickly, or if you're too young, there's going to be consequences there. So the last thing you want to do is say, hey, I'm going to take this money and I want to make sure that it's tax-free with all the interest earned in time, but then you tap into it too soon and it kind of avoids the entire thing.
Good to know. So what about some other strategies for managing risk as retirement approaches? I know we're talking about putting money in different baskets. Is there anything else you can do?
I would say for most people, they need to take a look at their risk, how long it is before they need it, because that would determine what your risk factor should be like. Because all of a sudden, in 2 years, you're going to be retired. You definitely need to throttle back the risk factors for a large portion of your portfolio.
Yeah.
We talk about that a lot. We call it the retirement red zone. You hear us say that a lot. And you get that 5 to 10 years out from retirement, that's when you need to start thinking about throttling back the risk, because you don't want to have a event happen that wipes out your account balance directly before you want to start paying yourself with that. So that's when you start throttling back, in our opinion.
Yeah. Whereas the red zone in football means you're in the red zone, right? Keep going.
Absolutely.
Almost at the end
Yeah. Oh, you put it that way though, almost at the end. Now I see. You gotta put
for
it.
retirement.
Okay. Well, it's almost a negative spin on it though. We don't want to think about the end of our lives, right?
No,
It's all
on
about
the end of
perception.
working.
We're thinking about the end of
Oh,
working
end of
year.
working. Okay. All right. Now I get it. Okay.
Touchdown. You don't have to work anymore.
Touchdown.
Let's see your touchdown dance, Scott.
No,
You have a touchdown dance?
not today.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't.
Oh man, well I'll get him to do it during the commercial and I'll film it. Okay, what about some common mistakes or pitfalls that people should watch out for when planning for retirement? Let's answer this quickly before we go to break.
Well, we've talked about it a million times before, is having too
Yeah.
much risk,
Yeah.
right? So you need to make sure that when you're getting close to retirement, we need to start talking about those risk factors. Is your portfolio built to withstand a market downturn? If it's not, we need to really take a look at that and see how we can reposition some things.
Absolutely, and you guys are the ones to call, so what's our special offer, Tim?
So our special offer is for the first 10 callers who have saved $250,000 or more for retirement. We'd love for you to call us, 833-897-4845. We'd personally like to invite you into the office where we will create that very own retirement roadmap just for them. And Cheryl, the best part is we'll do it on a complimentary basis.
Good stuff. And if you're a little phone shy, you don't have to chat right now. You can just take your cell phone, scan that QR code, and schedule your appointment. All right, we're going to take a brief break. Once again, those phone lines are open. If you feel like chatting, give us a call. Coming up next, we're going to dive deeper into retirement goals and choosing the right investments for you. Stay tuned.
Imagine the future you've been wanting all along. A world where your retirement income is covered and you don't have to worry. Your financial assets are protected, and you have an experienced team fighting every day to grow your assets. Imagine a company creating tax strategies and legacy plans to make sure your loved ones are protected no matter what happens. At Welcome Home Financial Partners, we're an experienced financial team with the right professional licenses and an unbreakable commitment to making our clients feel like family. Here you'll find determined, friendly faces in a world filled with obstacles and problems. We help plan your retirement income to ensure you won't run out of money in retirement. We build in protection to make sure your assets are covered on all sides. We focus on growing your wealth to combat inflation and rising cost of living. And we design tax strategies to help you avoid paying back what you shouldn't while protecting the people you love. Our team never stops fighting for you. With an unparalleled work ethic, we work hard because we know your future depends on it. We're proud to help you choose the life you want to live in retirement. Welcome to your financial future. We're so glad you're here.
Welcome back to Aspire to Retire. Having a great conversation today about retirement and goals. So how can our viewers, how can you at home avoid these mistakes that people make when they're investing and stay on track toward their retirement goals?
Well, I'd say the biggest thing that people can do to avoid mistakes in achieving retirement goals is to work with financial professionals. Work with people that do this every day for a living. It's our job to act on your behalf and give you the best advice possible. As Tim says all the time, and as Ralph says all the time, you know, retirement is not a DIY project. Investing is not a DIY project. This is what we do. Bring somebody in onto your team to be a partner with you to help you achieve those goals.
Right, and it's a big thing when you're making all of this money and you're saving all of this money, you're investing all this money, now you've got this money saved up. A lot of people have done well doing that on their own, but they can do that well, but when it comes to drawing that down in retirement, that's something that they're not familiar with. So that's something that we help our folks with is, hey, okay, kudos, you've done very well, you've saved up this big pot of money. Now, how do we make sure that that lasts us our lifetime? And then some, because not only do we, well, most folks, they want to pass on to their kids, grandkids, spouses, what have you. And then there are some that say, I don't want to leave a dime to anybody. But that's one of the big things is we've got to make sure that that money is there. Get that second opinion. Give us a call. We'd love to help you out.
But I would think also they need to understand that just because you have an investment statement and stocks, bonds, whatever you've got, that is not a retirement plan. That just shows you that you've got some money to retire. So that's the big difference. Just because you have a brokerage statement or whatever, that's not a retirement plan. It just shows you how much that pot of gold is at the end of the rainbow.
Oh no, right, because then when you get there, you're going, okay, what do I do with this? How do I navigate this? And we don't learn this in school. We talked about that before. It's you kind of learn as you go.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize their 401ks aren't structured to take distributions out monthly, right? And that's what you're going to need in retirement is distributions, whether it's monthly or what have you. So if you leave all of your money with your employer, you might give them a call and say, hey, I need $3,000 a month, and they say, well, we can't help you. We're not set up for those distributions.
Oh, because you have to roll it over, right?
But the other thing I would say too is they need to understand that if you work for a company and they've got XYZ as the money manager and you retire, you have no control over who they might choose for the next person that handles that investment. So you don't have any option at that point in time. That's something that people don't realize that could happen.
Right, that's so true. I've noticed that I've left 401ks with companies in the past and they sell it to another financial institution and then I'm calling trying to figure out where my money is and who has my money, and you lose track of it, especially if you move and your address changes and how do you find that stuff? I bet you have to do a lot of investigating.
Yeah,
That is
we've had
correct.
to do that several times, and that's the thing is, you know, money is very particular to people, right? It's something that people don't want to talk about and they're not willing to take action on, but it's the first thing that they're willing to be super upset about. So that's why you've got to take the action. And if you left your employer, does your employer, if you had a company car, do you keep the company car? No.
No, I
You're not
wish.
going to. So
Right.
why are you going to leave your money with them, right?
Yeah.
You've got the option to, but it's your money. If you want to invest it the way that you want to, even
Right.
if you don't know how to, that's something we can help with. But if you move it into another account, you got to make sure that you do it the right way. But if you move it to another account, then your options are endless instead of just staying in that program.
And I would think also they need to understand when they work with professionals, you know who to talk to, who you're talking with.
Right.
If you're leaving it at just your company, they've got a telephone service, that person at the other end may have been on the job for one day or maybe a year, maybe 10 years, but you don't know that because when you call back in, you may not get that same person, so
So
they
true.
don't really know anything about
Right.
you. So that's something to be aware of.
That's
too.
why I think you professionals are amazing, because you know who you're getting.
Yeah.
And I happen to like all of you.
Oh, we appreciate
We
it.
appreciate that. That is nice.
Well, in a rapidly changing financial landscape, everything's always changing, it seems like. How can we all stay informed and adjust our retirement strategies accordingly? I mean, there's so many things changing in this world, new rules left and right. I don't know how to stay on top of it.
Well, that's why you leave it to the professionals, right? So if you pay attention to the media, they're going to steer you in one way, no matter what's true, what's not true. They're going to steer you in one particular direction. That's what we're here for, right? So we're going to keep you up to speed with the ever-changing laws. I mean, I'm sure everybody by now has heard of the Secure Act. That's changed numerous times over the last few years. There are so many things that change to where if you're not aware of how those laws and rules affect you and you make one bad mistake, taxes could come back to bite you. So you've got to make sure that you're up to speed, and that's why it's teamwork.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's a great term. I mean, what a lot of people I think get surprised about when they meet with us or become clients of Welcome Home Financial Partners, you're not just hiring Scott or Tim or Ralph. You hire the entire team to work with you, and we all put our heads together. Some of us have a little more experience than others to come up with the best advice we can for each of our clients.
Yeah. I want to jump to retirement goals here. And what is the first step that's essential in the planning process when you're looking at your goals and what you want to do? I mean, everybody's different, so how do you approach it?
Well, first thing is you got to make sure you've got the income to cover your expenses, right? That's job number one for every retiree, is make sure you have that income. Whether that's coming from Social Security, whether that's coming from a pension, whether it's coming from your assets, that's got to be there. And then job number two is we got to make sure that we structure those assets in a way to where you've got the play money and you can do whatever you like, because everybody's life is going to be different in retirement, and it's going to last various lengths of time, because some people, I mean, we've had clients that, you know, retire and within 9 months we get the phone call from their spouse that they've passed away, and then we've got 100-year-old clients. So you just never know what's going to happen. We're all supposed to be living longer. We're supposed to be, at least. And
Knock on wood.
so you just have to make sure that it's there. But rule number one, job number one, is income.
Yeah, and then we hear risk tolerance, that phrase said a lot. What does that exactly mean?
Well, what I would say is that you have to take a look at how comfortable are you with losing your money. Because if you have 20 years before you need it, you can be a little bit more risky. You may not like it,
Right.
but you've got time for it to get back up. But if you are 5 to 10 years within your retirement, you do not have the time for a 25 to 50% loss under normal circumstances.
That's when you're in that red zone we talked about.
That is correct.
And
Yeah.
we see a lot of people get greedy.
Yes.
And they're trying to wait for that one last dollar to come in.
Yeah, it's like the slot machine.
So it, like we've talked about before, no slot machines here. So what we've talked about before is why chase these Hollywood returns when you don't necessarily need that for retirement. So those are part of the things that we talk about with risk tolerance. You're probably taking on too much risk when you really don't need to accomplish your goals.
Right, and you guys know all of this, and now is the perfect time to call. You have a special offer.
We do. So for the first 10 callers who have saved $250,000 or more for retirement, pick up your phone, give us a call, 833-897-4845. We'd love the opportunity for you to come into the office where we will create your very own roadmap just for you. And Cheryl, the best part is we do it on a complimentary basis.
I always love that. The roadmap is a great tool as well. Guys, it's time for a commercial break, but keep those questions coming. Take advantage of these professionals. You can call right now, as Tim said, or use your cell phone and scan that QR code on the bottom of your screen to set up your appointment. Coming up next, our favorite part of the show, your burning questions. Stay right there.
It was the longest running bull market in history. Everything was looking up. While inverted yield curves pointed to a recession, the market kept going. And then, if you're planning to retire soon, that could spell bad news for your returns. Our team can help you better withstand the bear market. Now more than ever, you need a financial professional to stand with you. Visit our website to learn more about our services. You can call or email our office to schedule your complimentary consultation today.
Welcome back to Aspire to Retire. It is our favorite part of the show. We're going to incorporate you guys at home now, some of your questions. So our first one comes from Ray in Louisa. Ray says, when is the best time to have a retirement planning conversation? I bet I know the answer to this. I bet it's going to be now.
Now is the correct answer.
I knew it.
No, it's
Oh,
not now.
oh,
It
you're
is not
disagreeing.
now. It is not.
Yesterday?
No,
Yesterday.
we're in studio today, so tomorrow. Give us a call. We can meet with you tomorrow. How cheesy was that?
That was
kinda cheesy.
super
But
cheesy.
It is important, no matter what stage that you're in, that you need to have a plan, right? If you're 20 years old, your retirement plan, it's going to change. So being super dialed in and focused when you're 20 years old, it's going to be a little bit different. But when you're getting close, we talked about the retirement red zone, you're getting closer. Even when you're in retirement, there's a lot of people who are in retirement that are still doing the wrong things, that still don't have a plan. So pick up the phone, give us a call.
All right. Darren from Lawrenceville says, I have a 401k. Do I need to speak with a financial professional?
I would say yes, and here's why. Because do you have any experience in trying to figure out what you need to do? All right, I was with a client last night talking to them. They had over a couple of $1 million, and he said the best thing that he did not understand is when he went to his 401k people at work, they couldn't explain things that he was asking questions about. So he did a good job of saving money, but he didn't know what he was really trying to accomplish. He just understood he needed to save money. So I would say no matter if you got a 401k or not, you're saving money, and you're correct at doing that, but that doesn't mean that you have a plan. You need to have
Yeah.
somebody in here that will talk to you and make you understand what you're trying to do.
Absolutely. With those retirement vehicles, whether it's a 403B, 401k, whatever acronym or tax code you want to put on it, you've got a great savings vehicle. You've got a good, hopefully a good accumulation vehicle. What you don't have is a good distribution vehicle and a good plan on how best to distribute it to you.
Right, and another thing too is when you selected the investments that you wanted your money to go into in your 401k, was that 20 years ago?
Oh, probably.
So if
Yeah.
it's still the same thing, is that the right strategy? More than likely, it's probably not. And that's what a lot of people do with their 401ks or 457s or whatever you have, is when they started working there, whatever it was, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago maybe, they selected those investments. How they selected, they probably didn't know because they were 18 or 20 years old.
Oh, no.
And then they just left it. If you don't rebalance your
Right.
401k throughout time, that's not the right strategy.
You mean to tell me that the employer doesn't go in there and ask you what you need to do and recommend, make recommendations?
There's no advice there.
Okay.
No
It's like
advice
when
at
you
all.
fill out the forms and you put 0, put 1 or 2. I never know which one to put.
Yeah.
I need somebody to hold my hand and walk me through. That's where you guys come in. Could you help me with that too?
Yes.
Okay,
Stop by
good.
the office.
All
yeah.
right, perfect. See? Okay, next, Sue from Columbia says, I hear people say, make sure your investments are diversified. I think we've covered this, right? What
Yeah.
does that mean? I mean, different baskets, different vehicles. I think we've hit this one enough.
Yeah, diversification, really the key takeaway to that is diversification doesn't mean that you own 100 shares of different stock. That's what it means. Is that's not what diversification is, but that's what a lot of people think it is you need to be over different sectors of the market, number one, and you also need to take a look at different vehicles, not just being all in the market. There's other things to do.
All right. Patricia from Weems says, my broker keeps telling me we need to wait to sell because we are timing the market. What are your thoughts on that one?
Tim's chuckling over here. I say we let you take the lead
Yeah,
on this
go
one.
ahead, Tim.
You can't time the market. It's all about being the time that you're in the market. So we always go back to this bucket strategy is if you've got $100,000 in the market or $1 million in the market, whatever it is, it's going to go up and down. I don't care what vehicle you're using, what stock you own, what bond you own. It's going to go up and down. Nobody can tell you when the high is, and nobody can tell you when the low is. So if you're expecting to sell out at the highest point possible, more than likely you're not going to be able to do that. And if you think you're going to buy in at the lowest point
Right.
possible, you're probably not going to be able to do that.
And what I would also say is that if a financial advisor is telling you that we're going to time the market, then you need to probably have a second opinion. Because anybody that says they can do that,
Yes.
you don't need it.
To anybody that's talking to themselves or hearing it from a broker that's
Right.
saying time the market, that's not what we're trying to time. We're trying to
No.
time your retirement. When's the best time for you to utilize your money market be darned.
Absolutely. The same thing goes when buying a house. You're trying to get the best interest rate, the low rate to lock that in. And well, when is it going to be lowest? And they can't tell you.
Right.
They don't know. So.
Yeah, and you got to make sure that you structure it in a way that you don't have to worry about trying to time the market.
I know.
Because once again, I hate to say this, but greed gets in the way of a lot of people's retirement plans. So you've got to be careful of that.
Okay. William from Amelia says, I am saving for retirement in a savings account at my credit union. I'd like to see a higher return, but I don't want to lose any money. What should I do?
Call us. No, there are a lot of vehicles out there that are going to offer you guarantees, going to offer you safety, but can give you a greater rate of return than what we see at banking or credit union type institutions. They're
Right.
available out there, but it's got to be the right product for you at the right time. And we need to sit down and analyze it and make sure we make the proper
Yeah,
recommendation.
because you're not getting a lot right now in a savings account. You're
Yeah,
not making much.
and I agree with the caller. I want to see a higher rate of return on what I'm getting out of the bank too. So you've
Yeah.
got to make sure that there are other vehicles that you can use. You have to take the time, you got to take the action to give us a phone call. We can walk you through that.
But I will also say is if they have an account that's earning 1% and the bank has now interest rates at 3%, how many of the bankers are going to call you and let you know that?
Zero, probably.
Very few.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing that you need to be aware of is it's your responsibility to take control of your financial, not theirs.
And it's hard when you don't understand what you're looking at. I think that's the toughest part about all this. This is where I think it's great to have professionals like you guys right here. And speaking of which, let's recap that special offer one more time, Tim.
All right, let's do it. So for the first 10 callers who have saved $250,000 or more for retirement, pick up your phone, give us a call, 833-897-4845. We'd love the opportunity to sit down with you in the office where we will personally create that very own retirement plan just for you. And best part is we'll do it on a complimentary basis.
So you can call and find out, or you can take your cell phone and scan that QR code on the bottom of your screen and schedule your appointment. If you're a little phone shy today, just do that. All right, well, that wraps up today's show. As always, thank you for joining us on Aspire to Retire. Next time, we will talk more about tax planning and different strategies to make the most of your money. Once again, that number is on your screen, 833-897-4845. On behalf of all of us at Aspire to Retire, I'm your host, Cheryl Nelson. Have a great day.